Hello, hello, Chris, and hello everyone in the comments. We're back doing another episode of the Roundup. Hopefully, it's going to be weekly, so we're going to just get straight into it. How are you? And then, what did you make of the games day, the game weekend games? Don't know what's going on there. I just had a complete mess up, but we move. How are you doing, and what are your main takeaways so far?
I'm good. Main takeaways. I think Chelsea have a lot of new players that need gelling. They just don't have the certain cohesiveness that other players have in other teams just from playing together, like Bowen and Fornals and Antonio. These guys, they just link up naturally. They just know each certain movements and certain things to do around each other just from time. And they may develop, but right now they're not that good. United Tottenham was a nice game to think about. It was a nice game to watch. City's still boring, still a hard team to watch. 90 minutes of City is very tough to get through, actually.
I find it really frustrating, I mean, really, really frustrating because they were there. They could have had him. They really could have had him.
Newcastle could have scored. Newcastle should have scored.
I count at least 3 goals they could have scored very easily, genuinely.
And Newcastle,
the Wilson chance, I think Almiron going through that channel a couple of times created some really good chances.
That Wilson chance was awful for me because not even 1v1, it was really 3v1.
It was 3v1, yeah, exactly.
Gavardio, you have to do better there, but I was very confident going into the game that they would at least score. Because they've scored I think it was 16 on the bounce against City. So even in this period of dominance, Newcastle somehow always find a way to score against City. So me, going into the game, I was like, at least it's going to be if City win, they have to score 2. And I wasn't necessarily confident in City scoring 2. But Newcastle were very weird. A lot of holes open. I think if we're talking,
both teams had holes.
I think about that game. 1-0 City. They scored first half and then second half. They scored first half.
Yeah.
Second half, they created actually good chances. Foden really took over the. You can answer that. Yeah, Karen was late. Not me.
I was late. Yeah. I was too busy showing Chris stuff, and he was trying to get the show going. That was basically what was happening, and I didn't realize it was late. So yeah, I was late. Okay.
Now that's out of the way. Yeah, Foden, obviously man of the match, created debate if he's better than Saka or not. Just for me, just let it be. Let the whole season play. We'll be starting for at least 3 months now with De Bruyne out. So if he proves himself worthy, he'll continue to play there. But yeah, for me, Newcastle opened up a lot of gaps. The middle of the park for them was very poor. Foden was receiving, and even though he's one of the best players in the league, maybe the world, on the half turn, they just gave him space to turn, and when he turned, he was facing no one, or he was facing defenders maybe 20 yards away from him, with space to drive at them. And for me, that's really dumb. Not just because it's Foden, but for any player in a top side to receive in that much of space, just to go at your centre backs and combine with Haaland, give Haaland chances. Another thing I found weird was they left Haaland 1v1 versus Botman. The whole game, really.
Whole game.
They trusted him to deal with him 1v1, and I think
he did a very good job.
I think early he did well, but then the last 20, Haaland got a couple shots on goal. And if it wasn't for Pope making these saves that really no other keeper makes, where he's still upright, but he pokes his leg out.
Yeah, it's very weird. He makes a lot of kick saves, Pope. He's not someone, just waiting to spring. He's very much he looks like, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but it feels like he's sort of like a stiff goalkeeper. Like he's not someone that's like going to be fluid, going into motions, going into things. He's very sort of upright, very sort of.
I think he knows how to use his size. He is 6'7". So if he's not good at using his size, I don't think he'd be very effective. But yeah, I think
explain, man. I don't know what this. Clean?
I don't
I have
know.
no idea. Explain, and we'll if there's something to laugh at, I'm more than happy to laugh.
What I said during the game, that once Newcastle change their left-hand side really and get a DM, they look a completely different side and they go completely different levels. But I think this summer they're not getting a DM. Obviously, they don't really have the money. They spent 70 mil or so on Tonali, 35 on Lewis Hall. How much was it? I don't remember how much it was for Livramento, but
Livramento was 30, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so that's 130 mil spent on 3 players. No attacker. Barnes actually. Barnes. They got Barnes as well.
Yeah.
I forgot how much that was. So yeah, I think they are the side on the brink of
Doing something
greatness.
really good. Yeah.
Greatness is like a stretch a bit at this point, but I think that could challenge soon, like next year, maybe the year after, if they make the right acquisitions. But I think even City didn't look the greatest because the whole first half, they would break through Newcastle's press very easily, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Wellington can't defend space very well, and Bruno defends like an 8 because he is an 8. He wants to step up all the time, leaving big gaps for Foden. But they'd get Kyle Walker 1v1, but he just stop and turn and pass it back inside because he can't really beat.
We see him on the other side though with Grealish.
Yeah, with Grealish, but at least Grealish would take a shot, even though it would get blocked very easily because when he takes shots, he pushes it out of his feet, but then delays it, and he's not got a really short back if he doesn't have great ball striking. So on the right, they weren't really creating shots.
The thing is with Grealish, he attracts so much attention as well. So he draws players to him. So when he tries to shoot, he hasn't got the time and he hasn't got the backlift to execute in the short time he has either.
So he doesn't create the space either. There's plenty of players have the same gravity in the league, and not plenty, but players in the league have the same gravity, maybe more.
But they create separation.
Yeah, Saka creates separation, gets his shots off. Martinelli gets his shots off. Even Barnes at times gets his shots off. There's Rashford gets his shots off. Mitoma actually needs to get off more shots, actually. We'll speak about them later. But yeah, I think the whole time in the first half, maybe the first 30 or first 20, however long it was before the goal, whenever they met Kyle Walker with Gordon 1v1, they were fine. Until Kyle Walker met, what's his name? Dan Burn 1v1. One time passing to Kovacic in the midfield, bang, straight into Foden, and the half was over then. The game wasn't over. When they made the subs, because they do have very good depth, as someone said, they've got Barnes, Wilson coming off the bench, Willock, Livramento off the bench, Willock and Lewis Hall are not back yet. Well, not there yet, but
no,
they will be coming off the bench, all starting, we don't know yet. But having them options did really help them grow into the game. But I think it was just too late. Maybe if they had, do you think if there was more to, say they had 20 minutes more, you can't really get that, but do you think you would have seen Newcastle scoring?
No, because I'll tell you why I say no. I think they ran out of ideas. They had a very good period for about the first, I would say 20 minutes, up to about the 75th minute mark. They looked very good in that second half. But they I think the Wilson chance really just killed any momentum they had. It was just it felt very final for them. Like it felt like, because the thing is, especially in that second half, there were gaps between Gvardiol and in the centre back in that first line. Almiron had space. He had plenty of space to run up and down that channel, and they were trying to get Trippier on the overlap, and Almiron was just being Almiron. He's someone posted, I think it was Remedy posted it, like the Linsanity picture with Almiron, and I think that's the best. He had his run. He's had his run.
Yeah,
it's just not. He's just not it, man. That's just not it. So for me, I just think that you can use Trippier as much as you want, but the thing is, without a proper right winger, it's just not going to work. I was at that, even at the point that I was saying just bring Jacob Murphy on, genuinely, because like it was getting to the point where every action he was doing, he was either kicking it into space and then losing it, or he would try to go on the overlap, mess up timing, and then not understand where he is in the pitch. So it was just very irritating, because every time you could see the game was on, especially when Isak was on the pitch. The game was on. All he had to do was hit that channel, go down the line, cut back, and at least if you do that 3 or 4 times, you create good chances. But he was too passive, and then when he wanted to be aggressive, he didn't have the ability to actually get it out of his feet and create a separation at a good enough level to get a shot off. So, no, not for me. What did you make
Of what?
of Almiron in that second half?
I think his pace was very useful. Like he got past players. Well, not yeah, he got alongside players. Sometimes got past players. I think at times he messed up the like driving a bit and like make a reverse pass to the overlap to Trippier for the cross. He messed up a lot. Trippier got very angry at him. But I think he was good. Like he was a driving force for some of their attacks. They didn't create enough. Even when they got the ball into the box, it wasn't great.
Did you see that gap though? The gap was there for him to take.
There was definitely space for him to explore. I think Pep made a point that he didn't make no subs. I thought that was a bit crazy, but it just showed how comfortable they were in the full 90 to play. And they didn't have a great bench. Like he said, Stones is out. He doesn't know how long for. Bernardo is out. Stones had a muscular issue in training, so he doesn't know how long he's out for.
None of us know.
Bernardo's out. De Bruyne's out. So they got some players out. So their squad will be thin for a bit. I'm not sure how long for, but yeah, I think Newcastle. How do you think Newcastle? Because I don't think Newcastle face the type of ball dominance, sustained pressure again. But they left gaps.
A lot of gaps.
Undeniable. So how do you think they tackle this versus another team? Because even versus Aston Villa, they left gaps. Aston Villa.
But this is the thing. That's the perfect way to answer that though. Against Aston Villa, they also left gaps. The question is enough teams in this league going to be able to exploit the gaps that they leave to actually cause them an issue in terms of a top 4 race or even try to get into a title race? I would say there are about 5, maybe 6 teams that they'll have to try and look at this game and be like, we need to do better. But the rest of the teams, like genuinely, like how many teams do you genuinely think can actually exploit the spaces they actually used?
Brentford.
Yeah.
Brighton.
Yeah. Us,
yeah. Tottenham.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Maybe United if they catch them on the transition.
United have their own.
Yeah, but I know. But I'm just saying, in terms of spaces between the lines,
I think that will be another transition game, like it was last time they played last season. Yeah. I think, but they just need to take their chances. But yeah, I think Newcastle have a ways to go, but they won't face this type of.
No, I would say that, as I said, maybe 5, maybe 6 teams that can really.
Yeah, but City were 5-4-1 at time, and I was laughing because I was like, imagine telling someone City would be a 5-4-1 block versus Newcastle.
I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet.
Yeah, but it's just what you've got to use, and Pep has so many centre backs on the pitch that having an Akanji or someone just sit in midfield or sit in midfield for a long time will hurt them a bit. So the 5-4-1 didn't make sense, and it was important for them. But yeah,
the thing is, even when they were sitting in a 5-4-1, there were still gaps. There were still gaps in that block. Like
I thought he had too many centre backs on the pitch. You know, like Akanji in midfield and pushing Kovacic higher, who for his took a lot of shots, but doesn't take great shots, doesn't really score regularly enough. So he puts Akanji in midfield, but then their progression isn't as good, I think, with Akanji in midfield.
I mean, it probably is a tactical brain fart moment, but for me, looking at that the Pep block that he put out and seeing the gaps, I was just thinking. I think I said it. I think I was saying to George as well. Just switch our wingers because we need the runner on the right because they leave so much space on the right that have a runner in that space. Maybe use someone like Timber inverted, put Saka on the left wing, have him go one-on-one with Walker, and put Martinelli in the space on the channel. There might be times when that might actually work better because that space was ridiculous. The amount of space Amaran was left in that channel. Like if you have a big space runner like Martinelli to just to crash the box in that situation, I'm telling you, there's definitely a way to do it.
I just think they're a bit more. They will leave less. I think they'll be a little less risky when you play. But yeah, a lot of their players are glorified wing backs now. Their wingers are. Yeah, Kyle Walker was their right winger basically. He was on the touchline.
No, I know we won't get the same. I know we won't get the same.
Hypothetical.
I'm saying in a hypothetical scenario when to see the block that they put out it was yesterday, yesterday evening. If I saw that block and I saw the spaces available, that's what I would do.
Yeah, even thinking about Newcastle, I was looking at saying, imagine if they just left Saka 1v1 versus Anthony Gordon or Dan
This
Burn.
is what I'm saying.
That would be a big problem, but they just wouldn't do that. They'd probably double up but the passing side, if they double up, will be that we work around them double ups well anyways. But I think for the Newcastle game, it really was City death by 1,000 passes.
Yeah.
Newcastle dominate. Newcastle got a chance going into the game. As you said, when the Wilson thing, when he messed up that chance, they really died out. Like I looked up at the clock, that was the 72nd minute. Looked back up at the clock on like 87th minute, and I didn't even realize 15 minutes had gone by. The game really just died down, and then City really just walked the game. They walked all game. I don't think they were really stressed at one point. Like you could tell the game was going so slowly.
But the thing is, I don't expect City to panic even if it was a draw at this point. You know what I mean? Like City won't panic. They've been there enough times to know that they can produce something. But before we do move on, because we need to cover the other games, but the last thing I want to say is Foden, man of the match for me as well. I think centrally in that 10 position, he's going to do a lot better. But the question is, it is his best position. But the thing is, when you look at how the reaction has been, it's been quite funny to me because I just think that I don't think anyone has said Foden's a bad player. He's not like a top 5 talent or top 3 talent.
Anyone's serious, anyways.
Anyone's serious, right? But the question is does he do it week in, week out? No, it's not his fault that he's not playing, but he doesn't play. So you can't be in that conversation if you can't play. So that's all it is. It's very simple.
I just think if De Bruyne's injured, that's his role.
Yeah.
There's no central thrust. Even De Bruyne's thrust isn't central. De Bruyne's
it's still right side dominant. He's still got that.
Foden is more like Foden,
like right in the middle.
More central,
he's more.
He's really a 10. Like he's as people would say that a cam, like a central attacking midfielder. Like De Bruyne's really a right mid. If we played 4-4-2, like go back in the old days, De Bruyne would not be centre mid. He'd be a right mid playing crosses like David Beckham or someone like that. And that's what De Bruyne really is. That the half space is where he kills. He doesn't, and if he drives centrally, he's shooting. He doesn't pass really centrally. Like his assists don't come centrally. They come from long through balls or like on the ground, just from with versus West Ham early Haaland. He played a long through ball because West Ham thought they could play a high line versus Haaland, stuff like that. But yeah, Foden's very different. I think he's great on the half turn, probably arguably the best in the league. If you give him space to drive at you, you're just killing yourself, and then give him time.
The thing is, right? Exactly, this is the thing. If you go too tight to him, he spins you. If you drop off him, he just shoots.
You can't give him 20 yards though.
You can't even give him 5. You give him 5, he'll find a way.
I think if they had a 6, if they had a Thomas Partey, even a Casemiro, just someone to sit there. It doesn't matter what they do on the ball or off the ball. Bruno wouldn't sit next to him or just stand in the space.
No.
Like no one was in the space. Everyone was ahead of the space. I think Newcastle's press was awful. But
it's more dominant on the athletes that they have on the pitch rather than some kind of some pressing structure that gets the best out of them.
I personally think like he had a great performance, but it was easier for him. Like the space was there for him to exploit. So I would love to see what he does where that space isn't there, that 20 yards for him to receive for 90 minutes isn't there. for him to just turn and face out. But he did have a great game. It is a great game, probably for his confidence. But he has one great game a season, at least. So let's see what he does next week. But yeah, I think that's really enough on C. I think we even spoke about
I think the best transition you almost made was talking about Casemiro. So let's talk about Casemiro, because that Casemiro performance yesterday was not it. What did you
it.
make of his performance and United's yesterday? Oh,
It was dreadful. I think
yeah.
I thought he was the biggest to blame. People were killing Mount for only making 11 passes in, was it 11 passes in 85 minutes, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Passes I saw. But he doesn't have passers in the midfield. Mount has never been known for volume passing. It's never been what he does. Why they expect it, I'm not sure. Bruno's never been known for volume passing. And Casemiro's never been known for passing. So where did Ten Hag form the idea that this midfield would give him success? I know what United need. I think it's been blatantly clear that they need a DM that's willing to pass the ball and carry the progression. Mount won't do it. He's not his role. He's not where he'll have success, even if he went to do it. Bruno doesn't do it. Bruno plays better ahead of the ball. You can't sit him behind the ball and try and make him progress the ball. That's not his role either. And he'll pick the wrong passes because his passes are too aggressive. Imagine what Bruno's doing in the 10. Just drop it deeper. It's even more dangerous. Like let him play his risky passes and take one touch and release the ball higher up the pitch. Because if you put him at 6, it's danger. It's even worse than what's happening right now. And then Casemiro has never done it in his career. Even people who say, oh, he's won so many Champions League at Real Madrid, his role was never to progress the ball. That was Modric or Kroos. So I think the midfield is awful, and that won't really change until they get a DM, and then their centre-backs are really poor. And I think Tottenham grew into the game. First 30, United should have scored at 3. Rashford should have scored. I think the header, at least, like
Yeah.
Bruno did that Rabona cross. Rashford should have scored the header. And reverse, when someone, I forgot who crossed it in, I think it may be Shaw. Bruno should have scored the header as well. In the exact same
He just
position.
completely mistimes it.
Yeah, he put it over the bar. Rashford was offside, so maybe it wouldn't have counted, but he should have scored. Bruno should have scored as well. Rashford had that chance where I think Bissouma was too aggressive out wide to Bruno. Bruno plays that cute pass between his legs. And then Anthony receives in the space that Foden had all game versus Newcastle.
Yeah.
1-2 with Rashford, which worked really well. Probably was the only time they combined all game and it resulted in one of their biggest chances. But yeah, I think United's midfield won't improve, won't change.
No.
Unless teams allow them to play on a transition and not make them build up. That's when you'll see them have success this season. They won't be great if you make them progress the ball slowly. If you can trap their press to one side, so I think trap it to AWB holding the ball, Wan-Bissaka and Varane.
But the thing is,
then you have a big problem there.
But the thing is, and I remember we spoke yesterday, and there was 3 things I wanted to talk about. One was Bruno. I think we've touched it briefly, but we will get into him properly. But the one that I wanted to focus on was United's use of centre backs and their build-up structure, because it's just not it. I don't know what you guys in the comments think, and Chris will be back in a sec. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, the way he's using his centre backs, the positioning of his centre back, especially Varane, so the confusion is just there. There's no idea of spacing and build. Either Varane's wide or he'll come central in the 2. Shaw will drop, or Casemiro sometimes will drop and Varane will pull wide, or Mount will try and drop and Shaw will try and go up. There's no set. I don't think I know or saw yesterday a set play where they were like, okay, you can go
I think
Lissandro.
Varane didn't like being right centre back. He ran to the centre all the time.
All the time.
When he ran to the centre, Wan-Bissaka was touchline where Walker would receive the ball higher. He wasn't flat. It wasn't a flat back 4. It was a flat 2 with the fullbacks up. So if the fullbacks are on like the width for the box, and one of them is the width for the box, so Lissandro would move over to the corner of the box. Varane would move over to the corner of the box. As Onana's progressing the ball, he'd run centrally to take away Onana's space. I think, yeah, too much to facts. Yeah, he didn't want the responsibility of receiving, turning and facing and playing past Son. That really killed them. If your centre backs don't want the ball at all. Anyways, when Onana was signed, I did say Varane would have the worst season of his career because you will just see someone uber confident with the ball at his feet next to a guy that doesn't want it at all. And you're going to see Varane run away from the responsibility countless times this season, and it's going to hurt them a lot. But Onana did play some great passes between the
amazing passes.
He just at times took away the responsibility from the centre backs, but it's impossible to be a top team or possession-based team without the centre backs touching the ball like for good periods of time. Like a lot of possession teams have is through their DM and centre backs, really. Like your DM and centre back have the most touches and passes throughout games. Like first game like game week 1 last week, the players with the most passes were Saliba and Rodri. So your centre backs and DM of the top teams will be the ones that touch the ball a lot. And if Onana's touching the ball as much or more than Varane, that doesn't make sense, especially away from home where you want your centre backs to take away pressure. I think Onana was very good on the ball. Again, he is very good on the ball. But
I mean, when we first started the channel, we would link to him. We all were like, this guy is great on the ball, and he does have a moment in him, but yeah, you can't knock him on the
yeah,
ball.
but at least when you bring in someone with the ball, you can't just blame every single mistake and progression on your best player on the ball in defense. He's the best player on the ball. Well, sure, after sure, he's the best player on the ball in that defense. In that back five, he's the best in the ball. So no one can blame him anymore. There's no scapegoat like De Gea was, and it just reveals United fans' eyes to the real mistakes. They're still trying to run away from it and trying to blame. They're trying to like take away blame from Rashford sometimes. Take away
it's Mount's fault, etc.
Mount for everything, but yeah, like United have big problems as well.
The other thing I was going to say is there are calls of, I don't agree with this personally, of like this is just an upgraded Ollie ball. I don't personally agree with that completely. I think there are elements of what Ollie was trying to do.
Ollie ball that's an upgrade or just
no, I don't agree. I don't think it's an upgrade. I think there are elements of Ollie ball, but I don't think this is any upgrade from what Ollie ball was. I think especially at the Ollie ball at his best when they got second, this is nowhere near that. The spacing doesn't work, and the fact is, if you're going to vacate the midfield like Ollie used to, like you remember, we all remember Pogba dropping in the back line, and it's got to be, you've got to have runners. They don't have the runners to do that. Anthony is not running. It's just Rashford.
I think if you're going to play with centre backs that don't want the ball, or a centre back that doesn't want the ball, I don't think you can run. Everyone has to come to the ball. We have to build up as an 11. Like I'm not sure how to like explain it without showing it visually, but like everyone has to drop deeper because Varane doesn't want the ball. That's the effect that it has. Varane himself not wanting the ball just means that Casemiro has to drop deeper. By default, the rest of the midfield have to drop deeper. By default, the wingers have to drop deeper to receive, to make the passes easier. So Varane not wanting the ball just makes everyone have to drop deeper to collect the ball. And it's very dangerous. I agree Eriksen was the key to the build-up. But again, that forces them to, one, not play Mount. He doesn't want to do that yet. And he developed this system of safe when he got injured. So Rashford moved to striker. They started lumping the ball over the top, in behind, and Rashford. Bruno's assists went up a little bit when Rashford went to striker. His shots went up more. But yeah, this safety net of Rashford striker doesn't work. It can't work for the season. I'm not sure why he came into the season. Well, I'm sure why, but I'm sure why.
We both know why, and the comments I'm sure do as well. Why Rashford striker doesn't work. Like
No, I'm
Rashford
saying
doesn't.
why Ten Hag fought to go into the season relying on this, because when you sign
I
the
don't think he has. I think
no,
he's
but when you
annoyed
sign
by the
Hoyland,
other. Yeah.
you know he's injured. Like you did a
Mm,
medical, you know he's not fit. Before that, he wasn't playing in pre-season, so you know he's not fit.
mm.
You're signing a player, you know he's not fit, so it had to happen.
Like
You know,
genuinely, play Martial at this point. Play Martial and put Rashford back
how
left
long
back.
would he play? Would he play 3 games in a month? When's the last time he even did that? Started 3 games.
Brother,
And
if you've got two Crocs, you can rotate the Crocs and keep them both fairly fit. Like
mm,
like
but
if you can just try and manage both minutes, get Martial one game, Hoyland the other, Martial Hoyland, and back and forth, and try and just get through it because this is just disgusting at this moment in time. Like
but yeah, I think
yeah,
we should do this though. Because
yeah. I
after
mean, I got cooked for watching it, but I was shopping on Saturday and I wanted to watch the game because we were talking about it now. But
yeah, I
I
think
got cooked
after 30,
for rewatching Spurs. But
oh, it was just saying that three completely different mindsets at 1 a.m. on a Friday, on a Saturday night.
Saturday, yeah,
Yeah, but I think Ange deserves a bit of praise for how
100%.
they really took the game away from United. I think after minute 30, United, I don't remember a passage of play where United were on the ball. I think before that, Spurs were very over aggressive, allowed it to be a transition game, um,
We
allowed
need
it
to
to.
talk about Basuma though. I think that's
We'll
a
talk about
massive.
it, but I think let's praise them first before we speak about the negatives. I think um, guys like the keeper, I think, look good on the ball. Oh, after the first 30,
He's got a bit of a crazy gene in him though, Vicario.
he does. But I think after the first 30, like in the first 2 minutes, they were making little mistakes, like passing into the strikers and
Mm.
creating chances for them. But I think Spurs did very well. Like they suffocated United. Like Casemiro was suffocated by Madison and Basuma, really. Like Basuma's aggressiveness throughout the game, as I think he's over aggressive, but Casemiro couldn't handle it on the ball. At times, they still need, it shows you can still see that they need a left back, they still need a centre back. Um, just on the ball, they aren't as good as other top class players. But yeah, I think overall Spurs had a great 60,
Mm.
not a great 90.
No,
I think for 60 minutes we saw Ange ball and people saying this is why I think they're great for the destined for greatness at times. That Spurs fans were so happy. It was the loudest I've seen
they thought
them.
they were. I've seen tweets that saying that they're going to dominate our midfield.
Yeah,
And
I think
all right, mate.
Papa Matasar had a great game.
Yeah, that guy, man.
My man of the match. I think his ball carrying is great. I think his timing. That was what for me, like the timing on and off the ball in really every action. You can see the patience that he knows when to speed it up, when to slow it down, when to just stand still. I just think it was perfect that time. I think he was the best player on the pitch, levels above everyone else really. Like even Madison and Bissouma, that Bissouma got man of the match somehow. Well, yeah, Papa Matasar was the best player on the pitch, but why do you think? What now? Not why. So, what do you think caused the change from, let's say, the first 25 to the last 60, 65? What changed it?
That's interesting because the thing is, for me, I think United were started to feel unstable in their own build. I think that's the main thing for me. I think they really weren't able to capitalize on the chances they created in that first half, especially. Like, I mean, we talked about both the Bruno chances he created, the one um, where Bissouma got beat in the duel from Bruno, and Bruno kind of just put it on a plate for Rashford to run through on, and then the one for Bruno that where he kind of just kicked basically from the half space, got it into Rashford and the header. I think they were. It's going to happen to Ten Hag. I think when you have an unstable build up like they have, you can't maintain it for 90 minutes. So when it got to the point where Spurs started to find their feet, I think they were really started to get into the game a bit more in terms of just being able to stop what Bruno was doing. Mount was just there. I think his ability to occupy space and try to be in certain positions to exploit what he was given. What he just wasn't good enough at that, and that's what he's known at for Chelsea. He can turn and find a pass in sort of like that space on the left, in the around the center, just left of the center circle. He's so good at just being able to turn and just sort of plug the ball into spaces, keep it cycling from that space, and he wasn't able to do that because he just either they weren't finding him, or the build wasn't good, or they kept going from Onana, trying to go a bit along at times. It just wasn't working. So for me, that allowed Spurs to really get into the game a lot more, because you were able to cut off their progression in that first phase. And as well, United, they really were like, there was no build. It was like legit, they would progress up the field by winning second balls. Like there would be times where they literally would go from Onana pass, second ball, duel, win, recycle, duel, win, recycle, duel, win, recycle, duel, win. And that's how they got up the pitch, because passes weren't landing, and they would try to make passes and they would just get intercepted, and then there would be a duel, and either they'd win and progress up the pitch, or lose and transition would happen. So it was interesting to me. And plus, and this is another thing, this is a great point. I don't know what's happened to Kulusevski. I think that there's something's gone on there. He just doesn't look like himself. What did you make of him?
I think initially he was overrated anyways, but
Agreed.
I think, he lacked conviction in a lot of his actions. Like,
yeah,
he don't really force the issue. Like when he got that hat trick on the last day, it was a hat trick, I believe, when they beat Norwich 5-0. When he got down the last day, since that day, he hasn't looked the same. He hasn't had the same conviction. He hasn't had the same effectiveness, really, in most of his actions. Like, doesn't really use his right foot. So when you're only going left foot to cut in and shoot, it's a lot more predictable. I think Pedro Porro does well to overlap at times on that side. So he does get 1v1 opportunities, but I just don't think I'm not sure what it is. Like, I know maybe it's mental, maybe it's confidence. I'm not sure what it is, because there was a time where he was out the side last season. So maybe from there he just hasn't gone on from the same place. But I think United's team, the press was poor. Like when Spurs would split their centre backs and Bissouma would drop deep, United would high press them. But the person who was pressing Bissouma, usually Bruno, I think was very lazy with the press. That Bissouma would hold him off and then just do a Cruyff turn, and there's 30 yards of space for him to just drive into. I think that consistently was just allowing him to progress the ball very easily. But yeah, I think after the 35th minute, where I think Richarlison or someone went down, and Bruno,
Richarlison,
Bruno started speaking to the ref. After that moment, United were not in the game at all, and they were getting overloaded on the right hand side consistently. Pape Matar and Pedro Porro.
Pedro Porridge. I don't think he's no. I think we have to get into this mentality where not every time a player doesn't play well as an injury, he just doesn't have a good game, and he hasn't had for a while. He's just lacking, as Chris said, he's lacking on confidence. I think that's the main thing with his actions. I wanted to talk about Bissouma because there was a lot of talk on the timeline about Bissouma. We were saying every time he would get into a duel, he would be flat-footed. Like every time. Like he would approach the space, like plant his feet. And I think he was just trying to cover space. But there was no ability to spring into an action. He's just
But it's not just now. He's always done that. He's always
I know, but I'm just saying the reason why I bring it up is because people were so high on this performance, and I don't think it was an insane Bissouma. I think this was just Bissouma that I think we all expected. I think this is a good Bissouma performance.
And because it's because it's against the name Manchester United.
Yeah, of course.
It's even bigger, but they're not even a great team. But yeah, I think he plants his feet. That's why I think he's an 8, not a 6, because of how in transition he defends. He defends like someone else should be there to cover him, when he should be the one to cover other people. It's something Partey does a lot as well. It's just over aggression at times in a lot of the actions. I
saw someone say he still got it. I mean, what do you mean he still got it? This kind of is going into the prime of his career.
He's not even old.
He's
Yeah.
not old at all.
So I think
So,
any success Bruno Fernandes had was linked to Basuma. Basuma being over aggressive, flat footed, or just looking at the ball. Like he would be running or jogging, but he's staring at the ball. Like he's unaware completely of the space around him. So players would just play around him. And United really didn't capitalize on the fact that Basuma, I don't think, was having the greatest performance. Even the obviously the first chance that I spoke about where Rashford shot at a narrow angle really across goal, probably could have scored there. That Bruno beautiful Travella pass, it was that from the first third really to the box to Rashford, they probably could have scored from that. Yeah, a lot of actions were linked to Bruno and him taking advantage of Bissouma. I think Bruno is very underrated. Like his passing especially is.
I think that he's either very underrated or very overrated, if that makes sense. Like if he's either seen as this rat who can't do anything, or that he's sort of like in KDB levels, and it's just neither.
I think the first season when he was getting pens and that just overinflated the expectations for what.
Exactly, literally was what I was about to say. Like
Because I don't think he's a GA machine. That's not what he is, I don't think, because he hasn't been that since 1920.
No.
Since the season they signed him, he hasn't been that GA machine. But yeah, he doesn't defend well either, so he's not really I'm not sure I'd ever play him as the second eight. If you played a free, he would be like the furthest forward.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not really a goal scorer. He's like a controller, but I don't know. He's a hybrid. He releases the ball so fast. Like he wants to take one touch and just release players like big switch or like a ball in behind or even a shot. Like I've seen him go into FA Cup semi-finals and take 4 or 5 shots versus Brighton. So he doesn't really want the ball at his feet. Like he's a ticking time bomb. But with them type of players, you're going to have to support them with players that want to keep the ball at their feet. And Mount isn't that either. Mount wants to combine and just release as well. He wants to release or drive with the ball. So him and Mount don't make sense. And Casemiro doesn't want the ball. So yeah, just their midfield like composition doesn't make sense. So what did you make of the goal? Like, do you remember the first goal before we leave them? Like, do you remember how Spurs really
the Matasar deflection, right?
In the 48th minute, yeah.
The 40th. I mean, I think you mentioned it before. His timing and the ability to find that run, I think, made that goal. He was there for the deflection, and he arrives well. Did the Rashford, love that. So yeah, I think it's a very good goal, and I think it emphasizes. Yeah, go on.
I personally believe it's insane the amount of space that Kulusevski really received the ball in. Like Kulusevski received the ball touchline with no one near him, and he just drove straight into the box and played the ball across the box. And when you allow someone just to play the ball across the 6 yard, the ball can literally go anywhere. Any player can hit it. So you're begging for a deflection, and he really got that. But yeah, I think Spurs looking on the up should be bid for Matisse. So there's no way in hell you can sign that player at Arsenal. There's no way. Spurs let go of their best midfielder. But yeah, I think in every phase, he was very good. He scored. He was great defensively, great indoors. I don't know the numbers, but I think, yeah, he's always available to receive. But I think he's very good, like very, very good. He's their best midfielder. Yeah, like I don't really want to speak about them much. Either team. I don't really like either team, but yeah, like United are not as good as Spurs. That's what that shows you. United are not as good as Spurs, but they're gonna win the league. But like even I was seeing people saying, "Oh, like, this is still preseason. Like the team has only played 3-4 games with each other. This is still preseason. Don't worry, we'll win the league." And yeah, it's just delusion to me. But let's move on.
Which one? Chelsea?
Yeah, another big team that suffered.
I mean, it's not. I wouldn't call it suffering. I would call it coming up to the consequences of your own actions.
I think they suffered from like the hype. Like, why did you play an unfit Caicedo? Why would you bring on an unfit Caicedo in a game you're chasing, where it's some of the biggest transition threats in football in the Premier League, in Bowen and Antonio and Ben Rama and you're just exposing him when he's not fit to track these players for whatever amount of time, and he lunges in the box and he gives away a penalty. On the ball, he wasn't really the greatest. He's literally played as a lone six, and for the first maybe 10, 15 that he was on, then Enzo came back into midfield because weirdly I thought Enzo played as a wing fielder for a lot of the game.
He did,
He
correct?
played like where we were complaining that Declan Rice was playing versus Monaco is just useless for a player of his talents to be out wide. But Enzo himself didn't have the greatest game. He missed a pen. I don't know why he's taking pens. Sterling, just hurry up and step up, please, and take pens because like there's not like there's a top tier striker that's going to take pens. So someone has to demand the ball. I thought it would be Sterling, maybe since the City days where he probably missed a pen and City with the ball was bouncing about in Mahrez and Gundogan and De Bruyne's hands, and they were all just taking pens and missing. Since then he hasn't really taken pens. But Chelsea was. I don't think they were the greatest. I think Jackson started off incredible up until the final action, which is really what he's done in the first 2 games of the season. He's been incredible in his duels, physically dominating versus Kanai and now versus Agurd and Zuma. Like they couldn't really handle him physically. And then he moves up into the box and he should have had 2 goals. He should have scored.
Yeah.
Chilwell should have scored when Sterling won in a great one. He had another very good first half anyways.
When Chilwell's positioning himself was very interesting. Like the way that they were kind of going into him, that sort of, they were putting him in the inside channel up in the 5 up front, and then having him make those darting runs into the middle, either to the middle or back post. They were kind of using him to almost as a left back, inverting in the final third, and then going and making second striker runs. It's very strange.
He's had a lot of success though. Like when he Chilwell scores goals, or why he's in so many people's FPL, it's because of those runs at the back post. Like he meets crosses very well, and he's got good ball striking when the ball's bouncing. Like a lot of his goals are half volleys. If you have the time to go and search up Chilwell skills and goals, or whatever, I don't have the time to search up skills and goals, but I remember his goals. Like he scores a lot of goals in the half volley. I think Chelsea, Gusto looked decent. Like he didn't look anything special, but he doesn't look settled yet. I think this Chelsea team literally have no relationships on the pitch. I think they've 16.
That's what happens when you have like 40 players.
16, 17 new players in the last year. These players don't know each other. The one relationship we saw was last week. Reece James and Sterling, who have played together for England, and are just very intelligent players, and we know Reece James is going to overlap a lot, and Sterling was there to combine with him, and vice versa. So it was just a great partnership, and they've lost their one partnership they had last week. Gallagher was not good today. Enzo wasn't great today.
Gallagher was much better against Liverpool than he was today. Gallagher had a very good game against Liverpool. Today,
Carney was very good until he got injured. I think the Carney
really
injury,
sad, man.
I think the Carney injury, because he could barely walk leaving the stadium, so
yeah.
Carney injury and Enzo missed pen deflated Chelsea. Like they were done after that. They probably still could have drawn. The game was still there for the taking, but they were really like they looked completely different first and second half after the pen and the injury and Mudryk coming on and him just being who he is, just deflating them even more because he's not that good. Yeah, but I don't think they're great though. Even despite all the big names, and I'll be interested to see Chelsea when they're fit, when Reece James fit, when Caicedo's fit.
No, but the other thing you have to talk about with this game specifically is the duels, because Antonio versus Caicedo, especially, I think that duel won West Ham this game. I think the way that
and the corners early, like
the corners, obviously,
two corners were right at the start of the game. West Ham probably could have scored, could have been 2-0 up in 6 minutes. They were 1-0. They only scored one of them, but they could have been 2-0 up in 6-7 minutes. Chelsea did bounce back very quickly. Like West Ham didn't touch the ball at all in the next 15-20 after that, and Chelsea scored their goal. And then it was shaping up to be a great game until the Carney injury. Like it was very back and forth. Is Sterling back? He looks it. He looks very
very good.
He looked like he's willing to drive again.
The
It's why
only
he went on
thing,
the right
the only
wing.
thing I will say is he was up against Emerson,
It
so you
doesn't.
have
I
to.
don't think it really matters because last
Yeah,
season when he played those type of players, he didn't drive with the same conviction. He didn't drive with the ball. He didn't combine well. He didn't play the ball into the box. Like I think it created a big chance for Chilwell that he shot with his right foot once, cleared off the line. Like that was all Sterling. That was Sterling literally running through 4 players and putting it across the box. I think he just looked like with more. He looked like he had his confidence back. Maybe him saying at the start of the season, "I'm going to score. I'm going to be the top scorer and score 20 plus goals." Maybe he's not lying. He did get the pen too, driving again. He should have taken the pen. Though. That's my take the pen,
yeah.
Sterling. You're the senior man in this team. They're all young boys too. Like Paqueta is 26, and 8 of Chelsea's starting lineup is younger than Paqueta. Sterling take the ball. Sterling has to score. Score.
Well,
Why do they want him?
I don't because they
I
don't
think
like
he's better than
because
Jackson.
they don't like money. I don't know why they want him.
I
Right?
think
It's
he's
very
better than Jackson and definitely gets more goals. I think if you give them 3 chances to Balogun every single game, minimum 1 goal. But Suchak is terrible. But
yeah.
sell Balogun to them. I would love to. 70 mil on a sell on or 60 plus sell on.
60 plus sell on is fine.
60 plus sell on or just 70 guarantee. 70.
Yeah,
I'll be
I'll
happy
take
with
it.
that. Yeah,
Even if it's like 55 plus 5 plus a
because
sell on.
that's pure 60. Like it's
Yeah,
all profit. Like, no, because we didn't spend any money on him. It's like when Chelsea sold Mount, that's incredible levels of profit, which is probably why they're not facing issues with FFP because they're selling academy products for £60 million.
correct. But the question here, and this is very important. Eddie, right, will score in the Premier League, guaranteed. Like he will get you 5, 7, 10 if he has maybe 15 if he has.
I think 10,
If he doesn't have, let me finish. If he doesn't have the minutes, he could get. If he had the
no.
minutes,
I think the assumption is if he's starting, right?
if he's
Because
starting,
if a team is spending 40 million on Eddie, he's starting.
oh, if we're talking about if he's leaving, if Eddie has as a starter, he gets 10, 15 easy. The
Yeah,
gem.
I think guaranteed 10 non-penalty goals.
Yeah,
And that's me being low. I think he get 15. Even
15
though it's
is
very
fine.
hard,
Yeah, I think
you can get 15 non-pen goals a season. Like with a
it
team
depends
like
on the team that
right.
he's obviously going to go to as well. But if they're actually going to if they get the
If
best
it's
out of
like
him,
Brighton or Crystal Palace, teams that create a lot of chances that their strikers waste, like Welbeck and Edouard and Mateta. I'm not saying they're all the same level, but just saying they miss a lot of chances. He scores a lot of goals for me. But yeah, Suchek
Brentford would be great for Eddie as well. I'll be honest.
I don't think is great, and his first season again inflated what people think of him.
All
And
right,
he was
man.
great. Carney, I don't care that he's Czech. Me, doesn't matter that he's Czech. It's not because he's Czech. He just wasn't great, was he?
All right.
Carney is a big blow. I'm not sure how they replace him. I think
My heart left when that happened.
I think they're going to be forced to play Caicedo, Enzo Gallagher, Russ Luton. Luckily for them, is Luton next.
Lavia might come in.
Yeah, if Lavia was already registered, he was on the bench, right?
Was he on the squad?
No, he wasn't. He has registered but left out the squad. I don't know why. Yeah. Why would you rush to register someone if you're not going to leave them in this?
Don't know. Just Chelsea just
doesn't make sense. But yeah, I think like Chelsea lost 3-1 is great for me to see them lose 3-1. But
what was your brother saying?
He was at work, didn't see it. But yeah, so I think they wasted a lot of shots, wasted a lot of time. They will continue to do that until they get a clinical striker. Jackson isn't that. Jackson had a clinical month where he scored like 9 of his 13 goals last season in April. In April to May, that's when he scored a lot of his goals and got a lot of his assists. So yeah, Chelsea just lack of cohesion. And maybe at the end of the season, they'll be good. But someone asked where do you think they'll finish. And I won't answer that because we'll revise our predictions in like 2 weeks' time.
11 days.
Yeah. 11
The
days.
thing is, and this is something we're going to talk, because I'm going to start doing, and I was going to ask Chris about this. We're going to start doing some transfer content just generally, not just Arsenal, but on everyone. And the sales, a lot of sales, it all depends on the situation, the fee, whether the player wants out, if there's something going on. Every sale is dependent on the player and the situation at the club. I don't think we regret a Balogun sale at this moment in time. There's just nothing. There's no place for him. Like Eddie's doing well in that second striker role in terms of, as in literally being a second striker, not a second striker at the profile, a second striker.
Havertz is another striker. We just spent 60.
Havertz is another striker. Trossard can be a striker.
Jesus is our main striker.
Jesus, you know what I mean? There's no space for him. So
I think Jesus and Balogun are just too similar to Sancho. Balogun staying.
Yeah, so
that's really good for me.
That's
Even
it.
though Balogun's a better finisher, actually, and probably creates more chances off the shoulder. Jesus probably has better link up. Not probably, he does have better link up. I think Balogun is more striker. Like
Would you?
That's the only way.
Would you think about playing Jackson a bit deeper, maybe in like a sort of second strikery role, and then putting like a link exactly, and then playing Balogun, put Balogun up top.
I think physically, if you put him in midfield, literally
or you play them as a strike partnership and have them drop and interchange, because Balogun is very well.
Yeah, but that's if he's willing to drop Thiago Silva, and right now it doesn't look the case. You have to take.
You've got no creativity.
No, you're saying add another attacker, and I'm saying
yes,
add another attacker. You have to take out the centre back.
You have to. There's no balance in the middle of the pitch.
Is he willing to do that?
He has to. It's just stupid. It's really dumb. It's really dumb right now.
Like first, I thought once maybe Caicedo's not fit, that's why he's still playing the free. But soon, like by the end of this month, we should know. By the end of game week 4, so 2 weeks, we should know who's if he's going to play a free or not throughout the season. But yeah, lastly on this team, Jackson did this well. As you said earlier, like he's just great up until the final action. Great link up, great dribbling, great ball carrying. He protects the ball very well, but he just can't finish.
He can't finish at all. And the other thing is, and I'm just going to quickly address it before we move on, because think about what game you want to go next, and I'm just going to answer this quite quickly. For me, look, it's a question of can he be useful to us, not what he does for someone else, and we don't have a space for him right now. Now, Chris, where would you like to go next?
Aston Villa, Everton.
Aston Villa, Everton. There you go.
I think we were very high on Everton in our predictions. There's still a long way to go. I didn't really watch this game fully. I watched a bit of it. I watched probably like 25 minutes of the game on and off. The link up between the Leverkusen boys was good. Bailey and Diaby. The link up between them was good. Late runs into the box. John McGinn eats again. He should not be Aston. Well, Aston Villa is the Europa League club, so he should be a Europa League level club. So maybe he should be at Aston Villa. But yeah, this is the level that he should be operating. I think Everton got blitzed, and their build up was awful. They were creating mistake after mistake, and then John Duran finally capitalized. I was annoyed, but like when I watched the game for a bit, came back to at the end, and I looked at my phone, it was like 4-0. I was annoyed because I had Watkins in my FPL and he didn't score. I'm not sure why he doesn't take pens anymore. He should have taken the pen. Another guy running away from the responsibility, like Sterling. But yeah, I think Aston Villa, Everton look in trouble, but I need to see them versus a team that's not levels. I don't know.
I get completely what you mean. Yeah, exactly. Like I need to see them against like
Sheffield Forest. Yeah, Sheffield Forest, Wolves. Forest is better than Everton, maybe. Like debatable. But like the teams that are going to be in and around and below them. Villa's better than Everton. Villa blitz them. I can check your table.
I'm checking my table. You can continue.
Yeah, I was going to say Villa blitz them very well. The link up between Diaby, Watkins, Bailey looks very good. Diaby's taken to the league well. He's playing well, very well between the lines, and he's very fast. Like his pace hasn't been handled yet. But when the game slows down, Villa aren't as potent. Like when the game is quick and you allow these players so many shots, when you allow Watkins and Bailey and Diaby, these
No,
guys.
yeah, this Watkins guy is pissing me off. How are you getting 4 goals? This guy's 1 assist. Just
Yeah,
no.
exactly. That's what I was saying earlier.
Oh my god. Just no, man. It's just
But
not okay.
their team, their attackers had I think a lot of shots. Like Diaby had 3 shots, 2 on target. Bailey had 2 shots, 1 on target. Two
Yeah.
shots, 1 on target. Like them two combined very well. Bailey was man of the match, I believe, even though he only played 60 minutes. Boubacar Kamara and Douglas Luiz is still a decent pivot, but the attack didn't test Pau Torres enough.
No.
DCL did come off injured again in the 38th minute. He came off injured, and so we didn't see the team with DCL. Like we didn't see how this team performs.
But the thing is, right, at this point, it's sort of
They
like,
were 2-0 down anyways when
yeah,
DCL
I
came.
know, but at this point, it's like the team is the team now. DCL is not part of the team, genuinely. Like he plays like 25 minutes. Like, and the worst thing is
Really
when he has a run of like 2 games, you see why he's there. You see what he's good at. But it just he's one of the most frustrating players because you know it's there. It's definitely there. Like everything is there for him to succeed. You just can't. You just can't.
But
It's
yeah,
so annoying.
I think Everton get played through too often for a team with such players, with many players that are great indoors. It doesn't make much sense to me. Maybe that's just a bit of tinkering to do, and maybe the next game will not change my predictions too much. But the next game they have to perform a lot better. Like you can't concede 5 goals in 2 games and not score. Like this game, they didn't have the amount of chances they had versus Fulham. Like this game, they were really dominated. But they had corners and stuff, and they didn't capitalize on the corners. And Villa just took their chances better than Everton, I think.
Yeah. No, but that's an Emery team, isn't it? An Emery team has clinical strikers, wingers that know what they're doing, but cannot defend in transition. They're very much we're either defending, and we were saying this last week as well, if you remember. If you're going to play the Emery way, you have to reduce the spaces in not only midfield but in defense. Go back to doing Villarreal versus Bayern.
Before we move on, what do you think?
No, hell no. Like genuinely, like I've got no hair. Deitch has no hair. Like we cannot do this.
Yeah, that's a lot less hair than you.
But my point is, look, genuinely though, what Deitch does, and like if you watch a Deitch team, like they are very, very hard to play against, and he will keep them up. And that's what you can do with Everton right now.
I think the next 2 weeks before they play Arsenal is where I will really make my decision on what I believe they will do this season, because they play Wolves, then Sheffield United, then Arsenal. If they don't get 2 wins versus Wolves and Sheffield United, then they have a problem.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah. But
no, it's not. It's not even about Prem heritage. It's just that his teams know what they're doing. They understand what it means to the spacing on the pitch. That's what Deitch does so well. His ability to tell his teams how to operate in terms of spacing on the pitch. And if you watch his teams, like even go back and watch Chelsea, Liverpool, and watch a Deitch team. Chelsea, the spaces between Colwill and Thiago Silva, you think Deitch is having that in his team? It's just not happening. So what he does in terms of the coaching, management, and tactical level is just too good for a lower down the table team. They need him. They need Deitch, 100%. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Deitch for me,
Deitch used to before Everton was great at putting in a mid block and low block. I praised him a lot. I thought he was a good manager. I think Everton asked him, or the players that Everton have asks him to be a bit more fluid and a bit more offensive than he probably was before. And it's an adjustment for him, not just Everton, but for him as well, to be more expressive, to have more funds, to spend more money. He's never been able to spend money. He got Danjuma in, see how it works. They haven't scored yet. But yeah, I think the next 2 games is where you have to, they're at home. You're at home versus Wolves. That's where I really judge them, because away to Villa early in the season, Villa just Everton had their chances, but they didn't take them. Danjuma looked very good when he came on the pitch. Like his combination was very good. So I want to see what they do next week more so than this week. I think this week, I don't give them a pass because 4-0 was awful, but like next week is more important for me because losing to Aston Villa is not shameful, I think. Like Everton isn't. People don't expect Everton to challenge for Europe, and nor should they. But they shouldn't lose 4-0. But yeah,
No.
I think next game I want to go to Liverpool, Bournemouth. Bournemouth started well.
They did.
They
I mean,
scored.
what do you make of this? Like before we get into to what happened, there's a couple of things. The Bournemouth counter pressing. I mean, I think that's something that has to be talked about. And what did you make of Iraola and this new system he's produced with this Bournemouth team?
I think Liverpool's build-up shape at the start of the game really
It's
annoyed me.
tragic. It's tragic, man. It's
Like,
really annoying.
It was like Van Dijk was. It was like a 2-2. Van Dijk and Alisson next to each other, and then everyone else was
Wide.
Yeah. So like Konate wide, Robertson left centre back.
Yeah.
Him and Konate level, and Trent just flies up the pitch. And then they had a pivot as well. It just looked. Sorry, not Trent flies up the pitch. So Salah stays with high and wide, and Trent comes centre mid.
Yeah.
It caused them problems early.
Should I tell you why it annoyed me though?
Created Bournemouth's goal because Van Dijk didn't really like pass into the right centre back. He didn't want to pass to Konate. He wanted to test the waters and pass to Trent centrally, and that hurt them a lot early in the game. Anyways, they grew into the game, and so Bosley really put his foot on the ball. Was the best player on the pitch for me
by far. No, it's not just you, by everyone.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why it really annoyed me. This Liverpool shape annoys me because if you have the players you have on the pitch, I don't know what Premier League managers are doing right now. There's this tendency to go, we don't have the personnel to build, so we're just going to make the spaces huge. We're going to make all the spaces massive. Everyone can just kind of go where they want, and we're going to try and build. And you can go wide. There's all the central space vacated, and then when they get pressed out into oblivion, it's sort of just kind of like this exactly. Like you see the space between Virgil and Alisson and the second line. You can see that they can. It's very easy to press that. Like you can press that. There's a 1-3 behind them for a reason. They're 3-on-2 in their own half. I mean, that's just not acceptable.
Well, he tested the waters. Like Van Dijk tested it. He punched it into Trent, and Trent got robbed of the ball. Trent should try to keep the ball better, but it's like Van Dijk can see the pitch. You can see the dangers behind him. You can see the man that's there right next to him as soon as Trent touched the ball. No matter how fast you play a ball, the player will move over and cover that space with Trent a lot quicker than the ball gets there. So as soon as the ball reached Trent, bang, they took the ball off him. Solanke drives up the pitch, flicks it back to Semenyo on bottom corner. Great finish by Semenyo to take advantage of that. But yeah, this build-up early in the game, especially against a team that Bournemouth that aren't necessarily known for their counter-pressing. They're trying to develop it. You can see Bournemouth is in a 4-2-3-1, a wide pivot. Like someone should be where the referee is.
Correct.
I think one Liverpool player should have dropped into where the referee is. I believe that Szoboszlai just standing where a right centre middle stand. Like if you put a 4-3-3 throughout the whole pitch, that's exactly where you'd probably want your right centre mid before the box. But yeah, I think Szoboszlai should drift over central and be where the ref is. Or Trent should be where Szoboszlai is, or Trent and Szoboszlai swap.
But the thing is, when you're looking at this, and I want to just everyone take a look. Where are the overloads? If you're looking for the second ball, right? So there's a knockdown, and you retrieve a second ball. Which players are going to meet that duel, and where is the space going to be? If you're Alisson, that's what you're thinking. You're thinking, where's the space going to be if I push this ball long? Yeah. Because you need to have a knockdown and a second ball duel. So there's nothing there from a Liverpool's perspective. The first line, I suppose, you can pass short to Virgil and you can have a 3-on-1 but the thing is, even
Virgil already got the ball from Alisson. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, no, my mistake. Yeah. If you're Alisson, if you're Virgil, Because the thing is, the centre mids will then jump in the 3. So this is the thing.
I personally think he should have just lofted it, curveball to the right to Soboslai, but like to the top, make him run out to the touchline.
It's and the point I was going to make is it's just hit and hope to Salah, and then Salah, Trent, Dom, and then try and hit Salah in transition. That's basically it, right?
Yeah,
And if you look at that, that's just it's good, but like there's only one plan, and if that plan doesn't work, then there's just nothing there, especially on that left side. Look where Robertson is. I mean,
left
like,
centre back. You don't like him in the left centre back role.
I really don't like him there, man. He's just like I was saying on Twitter, if Klopp had if he had any when he could sign in that sort of lesson, I'd get Tierney, genuinely, because he's someone that could do that left back role, be the outlet on the overlap, as well as be the third centre back in build. But he doesn't have that, and it's annoying. It's annoying me because Robertson isn't that.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you make of it?
I just think the build-up didn't really look great early in the game. I think after the build-up wasn't really the greatest anyways, but Robertson doesn't look natural being that deep the whole game. He wants to overlap. He wants to go around and meet balls, like meet crosses from Trent or play crosses himself, like cutting across the box, cutting across the 6 yard. That's really taken away from his game when he does that. But yeah, I think after the goal, Liverpool really grew back into the game. Diaz, great goal. There's not much really to say. He flicks up a great bit of innovation in the box, flicks up, puts in the bottom corner, and then they got a pen. Salah missed the pen again versus Bournemouth. He's missed 2 in a row versus Bournemouth. He did get a rebound though. He finally scores again against Bournemouth because I think that's his 9th in 9. Yeah, 9th in 9 versus Bournemouth. So he's got a good head-to-head record against them now. And then, yeah, after that, Szoboszlai really took a hold in the game. He got the pen, actually, dribbling.
Yeah.
He was trying to cut outside and then play across into the box. But after that goal, Bournemouth really got like pressed into their box until at times they broke with Solanke, who I think, again, was decent. First week he was very good, but this time he didn't really have as many touches as he did first week, so he didn't really have as much of an impact on the game. But
yeah, was it a pen for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Because I've seen a lot of it was a dive. Where's the
last thing though? What do you think? Red card?
Oh hell no.
Well,
what's happened, man? What's wrong with the game, man? It's a yellow. It was just a foul. Genuinely, both players went for the ball.
What made me laugh about that was he was just picking up, like he was going to help the player up.
Yeah.
Then he looks up and sees red, and he's like, "What the hell is that?" He didn't believe that.
I don't get it either, man. It's just.
But yeah, I don't think it's a straight red. But now he's out for 3 games. They probably appeal, but you have to be careful with appeals because if you appeal when you get it wrong, 4, 5, like it could be more. So I think you just firm the 3 games and bring in Endo. Endo has to start next game for Liverpool.
100%.
But yeah,
or they sign someone.
Back scoring goals, Jota looked good. I think Luis Diaz was like that goal was just
really good goal. That's what you can say.
So Szoboszlai was the best player on the pitch. I think Trent Central. I don't really like him in the pivot. I think it takes away the half space cross, but he did progress up the pitch. Like when they camped Bournemouth in their half, Trent did get his time on the byline to whipping balls into the box. Were they as effective? No, but he still had the chance to do so. So, but Liverpool, when they face like Bournemouth aren't the greatest press, and Liverpool still allowed them to hurt them. Like Bournemouth are still a big work in progress. Like, so they Liverpool themselves apparently now a work in progress again, even though they have a lot of players that won them the league anyways. But I don't like Gakpo in midfield either. I don't think that's an experiment that will work. And
at best, like you have to have him as like a deeper full.
I think it has to be Endo, McAllister, Szoboszlai. Push McAllister up the pitch. Let him into the box a bit more. But that's really on Liverpool. think it was another 3 p.m. game. I don't like that. There was no games televised
The
until
worst thing was, right, and I'll tell you this before we move on to our guess, Brighton versus Wolves. The worst
yeah,
thing about yesterday was is I was out for the afternoon and I thought, you know what, I've got to I've got a lot to do because I've got to at least watch match today, at least catch some kind of content on what
yeah.
happened in the other games because we have so many games to cover every week. And I ended up watching the Wolves game and the Forest game simultaneously. So these two games I watched on two screens, and I was just like just taking in what I could. So I think that the best way to start is probably the Brighton game because I think I don't know about you, but I am starting to think Brighton is starting to get a little overrated, just a little. Like I think
Where
why? Because I feel like I think everyone's bought into the build without realizing the the way that it can be counteracted. I mean, if you were playing against De Zerbi, what would you do? This Brighton team.
what did I do versus the Brighton team? That lineup. What was the line? What was that? Let me go back and see the lineup.
No, I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you.
Okay.
It's not a problem. So the lineup was here we go. Steele, Milner, Webster, Dunk, Estupinian, Gross, Gilmore, March, and Enciso, Mitoma, Welbeck.
Me personally, I'd man mark. I'd attempt to man mark Gilmore at the game. Let Pascal
Right.
Gross and the right side. So Pascal Gross, that right triangle, that right hub.
Yeah.
Pascal Gross, Milner, Webster. I think like you have to like funnel the ball that side. Like every time we're pressing, the cover shadows. Like when Erdegaard is pressing, I know how he press.
Yeah.
Erdegaard will press. Like the ball has to go that way, and then you give them time. I think when you give a guy like Pascal Gross time, a bit more time, obviously. Like I think I'd go 4-4-2 press, 4-4-2 press, 4-2-4 press actually.
Yeah, 44.
4-4-2 mid block. I think we did really do well versus Bayern. I don't think they'd play for us well.
The most important question is
Trust my right back.
who do you trust your right back on? Finish before I ask.
1v1 versus me. I wouldn't trust him 1v1 versus Mitoma. I think that's a recipe for disaster. Like Mitoma was 1v1 a lot. Even the goal he scored, there was a bit of space for him. He did do very well. Great goal to go between everyone and then finish it. I don't think any player should ever be allowed to do that. Like a player, you have to bring him down before he enters the box. For me, anyways. Take the yellow. Someone bring him down before he enters the box. But yeah, Welbeck is great at linking and bringing guys into the game, but he doesn't finish his chances. So I think the threat he'd create me was a lot less. I think also Brighton, like their pivot isn't good enough technically on the ball for me to dictate the way that they did. The way Wolves allowed them to dictate the game, Lewin allowed them to dictate the game. I think one is the two best games you could hope for Bayern at home. So I think the Molineux is a great stadium, but you're allowed a lot of fans in there compared to others. That you get a whole side of the ground.
No, but the pitch isn't compressed either. It's not like it's not like a Selhurst Park or something.
No, but also the whole side is you. Like I've been to Molineux away. That Brighton side is just Brighton fans, like the whole side. So you can make a lot of noise there. But
the question I was going to ask you is, the whole point of De Zerbi is his build. That's the most important thing. So what are your triggers? What are your pressing triggers?
Who are they?
Mm-hmm. And when?
I think as soon as Jason Stone just rolls the ball out.
Exactly. You can't. There's no trigger in the first line. So either you trigger, either you press on Steele or you sit. There's no two ways about it. Because the thing is, what De Zerbi, and this is what happened in Italy a lot. Like he could never beat Allegri for this very reason. He does not like space given to him in the first third. His whole system is built on the ability to beat the press. That's his system. That's how he works. That's how the whole thing works. Either you implement an immaculate press that stops them in their tracks at the first line, or you sit back and you let them try to get through you. And that for me is why I think, because you asked why are they overrated for me, and I think that's why they're overrated. I think that there
How
are
many
ways.
how many teams in the league?
Oh no! Don't get me
People
wrong.
compare
Don't
their
get me
price.
wrong.
For me,
Don't get me wrong. That I
when I
think that
when I
there's definitely a lot of teams that can't do that. 100%. But the only reason I say that I think they're a bit overrated is because there is definitely a way to play against it. It's just no one is going to have the balls to do it, and it's very, very annoying. Do you not think that's true or not?
I think there's ways to play against him. I think his build up is definitely his most important factor. But again, when you break it all down, as this guy, as Lord Kuna has said, Mitoma opened the game up, and
Of
again,
course.
it is what you get from trying to get superstar wingers. Like the best young winger in the world, 26-year-old Mitoma, had success yesterday. I think before he enters the box, you break it like he had a. I think one Wolves were a bit too wide, but again, he was great. Like he's a great player, doing great things. So there will be moments within a game where you just say, "Fairs," like we couldn't do anything to stop that, and he probably had one of those moments. But throughout the game, Brian was just creating chances too easily. Like, and Cisso's assist for the second goal, like outside the boot, for March. Like the amount of space March had to just run with the Brighton defense without and sees no one closing and Ciso down didn't make sense for me. The second goal and Ciso had time to pick up. The second goal was probably harder. The
Yeah.
second March goal was harder where he played it from the right side. But again, March was running in the exact same place against the same players and met the ball in the exact same spot. You can't allow that. Like,
No.
how can you allow a team to do that? 3-0 first
The
half. Like
only
that's
reason they have the space available in the final third is because the space has been opened up for them because they've been pulled out. And when you get pulled out by Brighton, you try to go man for man for them, or you try and play a I don't know, a system press like a 4-4-2 or something like this, or even a 4-3-3. Say
like,
you want to go for
in
man.
when you break the game down, really just becomes individuals, and Brighton have a lot better individuals than a lot of teams. I think the teams like Newcastle and Arsenal and Liverpool and Chelsea and Man City were the only ones with better individuals. Even Chelsea, offensively don't have the same quality at times. Like I think Matoma has to get more goals this season. He has to shoot more. He has to do more of what he did versus Wolves. I think he has a goal and 2 assists this season so far.
Something like that, yeah.
2
Homer
games.
and Estupinian going crazy for FPL is what the
Yeah, they both got
main, yeah.
more 11 and 12. Stupinian, another great left back. They replaced Cucurella and saved 45 million for a better left back, better in build up, more effective offensively, better 1v1 both ways, better ball striking, better crosser, better combination play, better looking, a better left back for 45 more or less. But that's Brian's recruitment. But yeah, like they played Wolves in it, so what? Like you can praise them, yeah, but they play, not Wolves. Yeah, they play Wolves.
Honestly, like, and this is. I mean, did anyone have them staying up?
I didn't say Spurs. And for United, I said individuals. I didn't say United either. I said Chelsea. They've got Caicedo, they've got Enzo Fernandez, they've got Raheem Sterling, Reece James, Levi Colwill. They've got great individual players. That's what I said. Anyways, next game, well, Forest.
What a banger of a goal though.
I think
Ridiculous.
for Aurier, the header.
No,
think,
the Oreo one.
Heimer.
Yeah.
Gamer, whatever his name is. He put one in the top corner. That's 2 games in a row, by the way. First conceded from outside the box. Watch out for that because Matt Turner made some great saves to keep them in the game when it was 1-1. Aurier's delivery was world class. I think that game, both goals were created by him. Brendan Johnson was decent off the ball, I think. Defensively, he was very good Friday. I said yesterday, Friday. He was very good, but his end product needs to work better. I think Alanga was positive again when he came on, but probably could start. I would love to see I think they need centre backs actually. Before I say I would love to see a 3-4-3, I was thinking that, how do I change this Forest formation to allow them to play a 4-2-3-1 with our knee to combine with Gibbs White and behind him and Brendan on the right and the Lang on the left hand. So they don't have the centre backs. Scott McKennan's just way too over aggressive, and him and Waru are not good enough on the ball to warrant starting next to Willy Wally, who I think is decent in a 4, better in a 3. Like you hide him a bit more in a 3, and Aurea as right wing back again. You hide him a bit more. He's less isolated, but he was good in 1v1 actually defensively and offensively. I think since he left Spurs, he was good. Did you watch the game, like the full game, full 90?
What? Not Forest?
Mm.
Yeah, no. I watched both of them together. So
I was Friday, so I think Forest. I was happy with the way they started. They allowed Sheffield into the game. Sheffield scored a great goal. Exact same goal, not exact, but very similar to how we scored it. Corner, headed out. Someone from the right, someone from the wing passes it in. Well, Hamer just took one touch and put it in the top corner. Saka took a couple touches and put it in the top left corner. But yeah, it was very similar. They can't keep conceding long shots like that. But again, that's another reason why they play a 3. Their players don't meet their markers fast enough. So you just want to have numbers anyways. So next buys for Forest next year, if they stay in the Prem, I think they will. Centre backs. If Forest get centre backs, they could push for top 10. I think.
You think? Maybe. It depends. There's too many variables. It depends.
Tavares is not there. Sorry, I thought Tavares was going.
No. They're going for another one. I think. I remember for.
Yeah, but I think obviously top 10 is a push. It's exaggeration, but I'm just saying they could push closer.
Can we? I completely forgot to mention this. If Unai goes for Tavares, that back line is Tavares, Pau Torres, Konsa, and Cash. It's like being back in 2018 here. What is that? Come on, man.
I think we wait to see what he does. Because I think just wait to see the end of the window, because we will speak about the window more.
Yeah, so I know. We will. But I just remembered because you mentioned Nuno. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what?
I think he does well though with the overlap. On the overlap, I think he looks great.
No, but the thing is, he's not got a 3 at the back to kind of help him defensively. Like he's gonna have to defend. There's gonna be Anfield away performances. You know what I mean? It's not like
1v1 as much though. Like Salah 1v1 versus him. I don't think they leave him 1v1 as much. But I think the channel between him and Pau Torres.
Who's the left wing?
I think the channel Bailey Diaby sometimes they go. Sometimes it was Ramsey.
Sorry, I know this is off topic, but just remembered now. I don't know. That's a weird move. I mean, we'll talk about it, but the other thing I was going to mention is before we do move, I don't know how many games we've got left. I don't think we've got many.
Wasn't that the last? Fulham Brentford is the last game.
Fulham Brentford, yeah, which is a really interesting game, by the way. I can't believe we left that for last. On Brighton is, I just think that there's not Brighton, Forest. I think this is a season for them just to stabilize. Maybe push for the top 10 next season.
They did too much. Last season they did too much in the market. It nearly killed them because it took them too long to figure out who they actually wanted and needed. Like even Sam Surridge now plays in MLS. He just played against Messi.
Yeah.
He was Forest at the start of the season. So them changing and getting like settled with Morgan Gibbs White. He's their man. He's the man at that club. He probably starts all 38 if he's not injured. I think that's important for them. This season, we know what their lineup's going to be. Elanga probably breaks into it, but how? I think off the bench, that Elanga, Chris Wood, Saab, 2 games in a row looked great. So maybe they keep that. Maybe they tell Elanga, you 55, 60 will come on and change the game, inject your pace into the game. How long he will be okay with that, I'm not sure, but 2 games in a row look great so far. But yeah, last game, Brentford Fulham, my boy Whistle, I left him on the bench again.
You were pissed.
I said it at the start.
Pissed.
I said it at the start of the Friday, like 7 p.m. I think Friday. I said, oh my god, I left Whistle on the bench for Gusto by accident. He's gonna get goals. He scored again. But what do you think of Steve Cooper? I think he's safe. I don't think he's a progressive manager, but I think he's got He's
I feel
always
like he's more. I think he's more a coach than a manager. I think he's a very good coach.
yeah,
I
he's
think
always had
he's
under 20. Like he played with the under 17, the great
mm,
one, like Joe, Gibbs White, Smith Rowe, Foden. They were all in his team and his under 17s team, the one that went to the World Cup. So he's great with. I think he's learned with expressive players, like these good combination players. Because even when he was in the champ, he had Spence and um, Brennan, where I thought Brennan was great and probably thought he would eventually move to a second striker role.
yeah.
But because I think his combination play is just too good to leave out wide all the time. But yeah, I think he's decent in it. He's not rubbish or great.
No, like he's like mid. Like
Yeah,
he's just like he's not rubbish at
he's
all.
mid in the sense that middle of the like the table, not like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
rubbish.
No, 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 no,
Well, then
no, no.
last game, yeah, Brentford Fulham. Let's move on because Fulham got bad for one. They made a lot of mistakes. We
Tim
said that,
Ream as well.
yeah,
Jesus.
red card. The Mitchell effect is gone. Buemo scored again. Buemo or Wissa have scored or assisted in all 5 games since Tony got banned. Wissa's my boy, man, playing striker. Like in London derbies, he scored against every London team that's not named Arsenal in the past year.
Yep.
So he's having a lot of success. Him and Buemo's combination is very good. I think their pressing is great. I think it's probably better than when Tony was there. They're just better presses. They're more mobile. Like Wissa is just more mobile than Tony. Probably more energy, more able to press. Tony, even though he's silky feet and great on the ball, great passer, great finisher. Like if when he runs, he moves a bit like a lorry. Like he's not the fastest. Like Wissa and that. Wissa and Mbeumo just more high press, more energy. And versus teams like Fulham, they dominate Fulham. I was surprised at Fulham's ground now. They 4-1. Like Fulham's got dominated 2 weeks in a row now. What do you think of the Mitchell effect? Like him leaving for what, 50 mil? What do you?
It's too late in the window. Like I don't know why they fought so hard. If they were gonna know, they should have known they were gonna lose him, because he is massive for them. Like actually, physically, as well as like his effect in the team is just massive. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna replace him, you need time. And they've lost Solomon as well. They've lost a lot of players. Like I don't know what's happening with Willian. Is Willian staying or is he going?
Signed
If
the
he's staying,
contract, he wants to go now to Saudi.
so yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. Do we know if he's going to go or stay? Don't know about that. So
They're
we,
still out. Yeah, they need the window to end.
yeah,
They need the
they need the
window.
window to end like now.
Even though it was a cheap, like he's not good enough anymore. Like since the head injury, he's not the same.
No,
He doesn't hold the same weight. He doesn't have the same gravity as
Mitro.
Mitrovic. He doesn't
Yeah.
hold the same weight. So when they try to use him in the exact similar role, same role, he just doesn't throw himself about physically as well enough or get the same amount of goals.
Thoughts?
Balogun for what? Fulham.
Fulham.
It's just what they asked the striker to do is not Balogun.
It's not what he does exactly.
Eddie.
Like Eddie would work for them.
I think Eddie's better than Balogun for Fulham. Like the physical, Pina centre back, Roy centre back. That's the type of goals that Mitrovic was getting. Pina centre back, roll him and putting a shoot, smash it harder the keeper, or like just win aerial duels or win duels in the channel, run the channel. Like Balogun is more off the shoulder with cute passes in and around him, just playing through balls in and around the centre backs, or just crosses into the box and he's great movement in the box. That's more Balogun style. Balogun's more Brentford.
Yeah.
Eddie even works for both, yeah.
Eddie works for both. Eddie, I'll
energy.
be real though, Eddie works for like 15, 16 teams in this league.
Yeah, but I think Eddie's more Fulham. The way they play it out.
Oh no, for sure. But Eddie, like I think people are underestimating how good.
You said it was, before we do go, you said it was an interesting game. Why? Why do you think it was interesting?
Because of how bad Fulham was, because of the way Brentford managed to counter-attack and find the spaces in behind. Wissa being very good. I think Mbeumo looks like he looks free. He looks free without. No, I'm not even saying Tony was the reason. He was the reason. Blah blah blah. Tony is obviously the main reason why they have done so well in this time in the Premiership so far. But right now, and Burma just looks like he's like got a new lease on life right now. So yeah, I think that the main thing is just keep going. I think pushing the top 10, 9, 8, something like that, if you can get around there this season. But Fulham, I'm worried. Like, genuinely, how many teams are they better than?
I'm not gonna think now. I need to see, like, for me, before I make decisions and projections in the future, I need to see like 4 or 5 games, straight games first, because within 5 games, as I said, you're gonna see them face every level of the league really, and how they deal with that away at home, like how they change. And yeah, Fulham weren't great, but the Mitchell effect, how they deal with the Mitchell effect, and they, like not having it, like knowing he's not coming off the bench. First game, he came off the bench and he was heavily involved in the goal. This time, you won't have that. So, like, how do they deal with knowing he's not there in it? But yeah, I think it was a good weekend of football, better than the first week. I hated that.
I mean, you know what it is? It's the fact that there were Big Six clashes, as well as like
big
the only thing is big mid-table clashes. I think that's
like,
what made it so.
Fulham Brentford was a game up in the air for me, because of that. Are we gonna get the Fulham that everyone thinks, or a lot of people think is gonna get good mid-table, or the Brentford that a lot of people think is gonna get?
Who could they sign though? Like Fulham?
Who would they?
Could.
I don't know. I don't know what the market is. I don't know what they want. I don't know if they want to still be in the market.
They have to be. If Mitra goes, they have to sign a striker. It's just not.
They signed Jimenez.
That's not enough, man. That's not enough,
I
brother.
agree.
He's done. Okay.
I agree, but that's what they went. That's the replacement they've gone for early.
Well, then literally prediction made. Like, that changes a lot. If they don't buy another striker, it's done ski for them.
We'll see anyways. That's why we're doing another revisiting it after the thing. But yeah, I think good weekend. And we obviously didn't speak about Arsenal because the game hasn't happened yet. That's why we did the roundup today, because the game's tomorrow. We'll preview the game tomorrow at
6:30 or something.
No, 6:55. 6:45, 55. That will.
It depends on when George decides to wake up.
Yeah, so probably 6:55. We'll speak to you guys 5 minutes, see the lineup, and then make projections in the game, because I think it's that with everything up in the air about what's happening with our lineup, like if Party's injured or not, if Zinchenko's fully fit or not. Like, not knowing is very hard to really make solid predictions on the game, and tell you guys what we think will happen and what we think the impact of the changes will be. So we just choose to do it close to the game, and it'll be easier to do it knowing that Zinchenko's starting, or if Party's not. Whatever it is, I just think it's better to do tomorrow than today. That's why you didn't see George today. Anyways, he's busy on Sunday. Yeah,
he's doing George things.
On Sundays, he does
on
George.
Sunday, and it's also his birthday. So if you do want to go and say happy birthday, George. We hate you, but we also kind of love you as well. But we mainly hate you.
True, George. He's speaking for me, not him.
But anyway, look, it's been fun, and I think this is much more. This is going to stay as fun. This is a fun show. I think we're all so intoxicated with the tactical side of things at times. I think this Premier League show is a bit more.
Definitely a bit younger than this.
Yeah.
Even Carrick's a bit younger than this.
Exactly.
But yeah, I saw a lot of people call him 42 or some stuff, which is crazy. But yeah, he's a bit younger than this. No 4-year-old has them type of shoulders. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Next week it may not be as long as this. 1 hour 40 is kind of long.
Kind of mental.
But like I've been seeing here today, Tanner, you've been here from the start. We've been interacting with you guys for an hour and 40. We will do it again. We'll try do it weekly. Some weeks it will just be too much football.
If there's too much, because the thing is, don't forget, guys, we've got Champions League as well now.
Yeah.
We've got the Prem previews and reviews. We've got
Carabao. There'll be weekends where there's Carabao. There'll be a week where there's Carabao, Prem, and that's just too much football.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah,
like even this, like I was out on Saturday, and to actually just get through all these games.
I was out on Saturday as well. I barely watched it, and the games weren't televised, so it wasn't like I could just go you could go look in the window of a pub and the game be on. It just wasn't on. Like there was no games on TV till the 5:30 kickoff, which for me is crazy, and it's something they have to fix that. And then they complain when everyone's using illegal streams. Doesn't make sense. But yeah,
Well, I
thank
will
you
not pay
guys.
to watch these things yet, but
Please follow everyone on this
everyone.
at current BOP. You can see is there at CKFTBL for me and at George V underscore AFC. He's not here right now. And to see a lot of all of us at BOP40 on Twitter and on Instagram. Yeah, thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the Arsenal preview, and then we'll probably
Correct.
Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Tuesday for the review. Hopefully we get a win. But yeah, peace everybody.